Guys, I just want to do a quick rant here for a moment. Something that been on my mind. Do you ever have one of those moments where you suddenly realize, I was right and nobody listened to me? And you realize that you had the answer the whole time, but nobody was listening to what you say. I'm starting to have one of those moments now. There's been a lot of positive feedback from the anti-identity politics video I did. And the reason that's significant is because it's the first time there has been positive feedback from an anti-identity politics video that I've done. I first spoke against identity politics like 3 years ago. And I said, this is a trend that's starting and it's not good. It's reactionary. It's not going to go anywhere. It's going to drag down the Marxist movement even further. Lo and behold, that's what's happened. Think about it. And now all these groups, the people are starting to acknowledge that identity politics is bad. It's a poison. It's wrecking things and doing a general harm. But now all these groups are acknowledging it. But before, like even 4 months ago, 6 months ago, they were all calling me homophobe and transphobe for opposing identity politics. I would literally say identity politics doesn't lead to the liberation of anyone. It's unscientific liberal crap. And they turn around, oh, Jason Unruhe hates trans people. Oh, he wants trans people to die. And really all I said was I disagree with your plan to liberate them because it won't work. Because it's unscientific and it's insanely liberal. And I was denounced for it. But now we see all these people changing their minds now. All of a sudden, it's starting to become chic to be anti-identity politics. And I've been doing it this whole time. Because it was the right thing to do. All these little groups were, running around, jumping on the trend. They were, opportunistic, little liberals that jumped on, whatever trend it is that comes by and denouncing me for not doing it. You had the APL screaming that I was a homophobe and a transphobe, people like that. Then you had, the New York Maoists were screaming the same thing. Yeah, look at them, they're gone now. You see, like, Paul Wadmouth, the intellectual behind the RCP Canada. And you see him, now he's doing the anti-identity politics thing. The thing that I was already doing way back, when he and his group were calling me a homophobe. When I already exposed his group for supporting the use of violence against women, they were all calling me sexist and everything. And of course, backing none of it up. And all these groups were doing it. Anybody who said identity politics was bad, they would turn around and start attacking them like crazy. So eventually everybody got bullied into silence. And a lot of these groups are damn guilty of that. But I stood here the whole time and I said identity politics doesn't work. It's liberal, it's unscientific, and it doesn't liberate anybody. And now here it is, the trend is starting to turn around. There were very few people that were willing to be anti-identity politics. Myself, the LLCO, even Bob Avakian and his, RCP USA. They weren't explicitly anti-identity politics, but their line was anti-identity politics. They stuck to, what made them who they are and, what it is that, revolutionary science, although I would massively disagree with their line. I do applaud the fact that they stayed away from identity politics. And I find it just such a great irony that so many people who were attacking me, just making shit up, calling me homophobic, sexist, transphobic, some people screaming racist, people going out and photoshopping supposed Twitter comments by me that didn't even make any sense, that were racist, and all this other stuff. Meanwhile, I was right all along. When everybody was sitting there shitting on me, I was putting forward the right idea with a very limited number of other people who were doing the same thing. And it feels kind of good, to see that the trend is now starting to change and that, I was on the right side the whole time. I wasn't being an opportunist, just jumping on every single little bandwagon, jumping on every single possible invention of oppression that could possibly exist. There were people jumping on the transracial thing, people jumping on the otherkin, and every single possible little thing that people could invent in order to make themselves sound oppressed. Like you could have a straight up white heterosexual guy just suddenly declare himself to be genderqueer, and now, even though it changes nothing about his appearance, nothing about the way he acts, but all of a sudden now he's oppressed because he identifies as genderqueer, even though literally nothing has changed. And they now consider themselves to be so forward-thinking, I'm so revolutionary now because I'm calling myself genderqueer, when really nothing ever changed. And now these people are starting to see that the absurdity of identity politics is really starting to come forward, and it's getting way out of control. If you had said to me that it was going to get this bad like 3 years ago, I actually would have called it a slippery slope fallacy. But no. It's here. That stuff that even I would have said, wasn't going to happen, it really is here now. And this kind of insanity that just tears organizations apart, that just tears revolutionary science apart, is happening. And I've been warning for 3 years that this kind of effect was coming. I didn't guess how bad it was going to get, but I did say that, this stuff doesn't work. And it's going to ruin whole organizations. It's going to ruin, it's going to end up destroying people's reputations over nothing. And those who supported identity politics went 110% into attacking me no matter what. I made a video saying that trans people were oppressed and that I was going to do my own investigation and come to my own conclusion about how to liberate trans people. The reaction was to threaten me. I mean, literally, this was like the identity politics people. Like I literally said that trans people were oppressed. And that was enough for them to attack me, calling me a homophobe. Like even to this day, sometimes if you ask people, what's the proof that I'm transphobic? They literally point to a video where I said trans people are oppressed. That's it. So I completely backed off on the whole issue because no matter what, I was going to be wrong. You're a white male, you're automatically wrong. To hell with theory, to hell with an education in a subject, you're a white male, you're automatically wrong. I mean, it doesn't matter if a theory is correct or not. It just matters that you're white. I mean, never mind, really white people like Che, Fidel Castro, Lenin, Marx, Engels, none of them, right? None of them were right because they were white males. And lo and behold, what Lenin said a long time ago, identity politics ruins revolution. It's not revolutionary. It's anti-science. Guess what? Guess who was right the whole time? It was Lenin. And those of us who stuck to what Lenin said were the ones who turned out to be correct. I even cited the example of, look at what Mao did with all the different ethnic groups in China. Brought pretty much total peace to all of them. Was he doing identity politics? Was the Chinese Cultural Revolution doing identity politics? No. They lifted women up higher than anything that has ever been seen in the history of mankind. Was that done through identity politics? No. Show me one good thing identity politics ever did. Hey, if you're a liberal and you want to jump on the identity politics bandwagon, by all means, you're a liberal. That's your way. Fine. But if you're running around calling yourself a Marxist and you're jumping on the identity politics bandwagon, what are you doing? We have accomplishments that they could only dream of, and we didn't do it with identity politics. We didn't do it by running around calling everybody, cishet male shitlord. We did it by actually changing things, by changing systems of oppression, not going around attacking individuals. We attacked the system and changed it. So I guess my whole point about this was that, I was right. 3 years ago, I said identity politics doesn't work. Bob Avakian said it, to his credit. The LLCO said it. And all three of us, we were right. And all we had to do was stick with what Lenin had already said, with what Mao had already accomplished. And yet, none of these little first worldist groups would listen. And what did they accomplish in all this time? They only managed to wreck themselves and wreck each other. So what good did that do? It accomplished nothing. The first world is no more revolutionary now than it was 3 years ago when this started. Absolutely not. It's no closer to revolution now than it was then. So I assume the reaction a lot of people are going to have to this video is to say, like, oh, look how arrogant he is. He says he was right all along, and he's so much smarter than us, and some other stuff. Go ahead. People are always going to talk shit. But what they can't do is demonstrate how I was actually wrong here. I was right. So I had to sit through 3 years of people lying about me, spreading all kinds of falsehoods about me, hating gays and trans and being racist and sexist, with nobody really backing any of that up. In the meantime, all they were doing was playing social justice warrior and did nothing. Meanwhile, I was right all along, just because I said I didn't like identity politics and it didn't go anywhere. So, hopefully this trend continues and people can keep pushing along and just finally get rid of identity politics and go back to doing revolutionary science. What we were really supposed to be doing this whole time. Thank you for watching. Why don't you go ahead, rate, comment, subscribe, and share on various social media. And if you want, you can head over to my Patreon page and show your support. Or you could head over to the MRN bookstore and check out some of the latest books available.